And turn our focus to South Africa's January headline consumer inflation, which slowed to 4.4%. Ettienne Le Roux, chief economist at RMB, joins us now. Ettienne, it's always lovely to have you in studio. Let's just get a sense of, whether the oil price and the fall in the oil price is the biggest or the only indicator that has seen a slow or tamer CPI number.
Well, it certainly played a big role in today's data. I mean, just bear in mind that the petrol price fell by about 10% in the month. So petrol is about 20% cheaper than a year ago. It's got a weight of 5% in the basket. So certainly a big deal when you think about inflation in aggregate. Interestingly enough, other items that are showing deflation, telecommunication, price war, data getting cheaper and so on and so forth. So there's a bit of good news. All of this said, on the face of it, the data is looking pretty decent. The next couple of months, you may see headline inflation coming down even further. But underneath the surface, there's a bit, one or two concerning things. And here I'm basically referring to what the central bank talks to as core inflation. So if you take out petrol, food, one or two other items, we're sitting with inflation of 5.8%, which is actually a little bit higher than what we've seen in recent months. So we're not out of the woods here. There's a fair bit of inflation still in the system, and I think that's quite an important point to make.
Ettienne, of course, that 4.4% print, the headline CPI print, is very interesting. It's the best level, or the lowest level anyway, since 2011. But as you quite rightly point out, close to 6% is the core number, so take out the oil price and a couple of other volatile factors, then we're exactly where we were in the last year or so. And so, to my mind, there's absolutely no justification to cut interest rates. There's no justification to raise at the moment either, especially with the budget coming up. But anyone that thinks that we're going to get 50 basis points or even a reversal of last year's 75 basis points to the upside, I think their thoughts may be fanciful.
Absolutely. I think we are in an environment where interest rates can stay sideways for a while, Lindsay. But still, I think you can make a decent case why interest rates could potentially go up in 2016. A couple of things that are concerning. Look what has happened to the maize price over the last couple of months. Today's print for food inflation is 6.5% year on year, down from about 10% or so not too long ago. But if the maize price continues to do what it has done, you're soon going to see some upward pressure on that score. Oil, not too long ago it was $45 a barrel. Today it's $60 a barrel. Indications already that the petrol price will go up in March. And always keep an eye on the exchange rate. As far as the interest rate story is concerned, if inflation reaches a lower turning point in the next couple of months and slowly drifts higher into next year, and the Fed starts the hiking cycle late this year, well, it will be difficult for the central bank locally not to change policy rates. At least that would be our opinion.
So Ettienne, the lesson from this is if you're on hunger strike and you don't eat anything and you don't drive anywhere, your inflation rate is 6%, which in the modern world is almost tantamount to hyperinflation. What do we have to do as a country to get real on inflation and therefore being more sort of competitive as a country?
No, absolutely. I think that's the big deal. Structural reform, the microeconomics that really matters. Macro policy is pretty decent. A lot of issues that's keeping the economy back. That's hurting our competitiveness. My number one issue that I would like to highlight there is probably low productivity growth. And if you add to that wage inflation that's still high in many sectors, that's hurting competitiveness. And that's arguably one of the key reasons why the export industry, manufacturing export volumes are not responding to the extent that it should, considering where the rand is and considering the fact that global growth is picking up. I would highlight those two things on the reform front.
So a couple of days ago, we had the State of the Nation, and we had the President giving us his view of what he thought the pulse of the nation was. And here you're also giving us your sense of what's keeping you awake at night. The future of the nation, according to Ettienne Le Roux, do you think that we have what it takes to adjust some of those structural impediments that we're seeing in that core inflation number?
Well, so far, very little evidence of that actually happening, and that is concerning. And then add to the fact or add to that the fact that we've got the major problems on electricity. You're asking me what is the state of the nation? The business mood is poor, pretty downbeat if you talk to the average CEO in South Africa. If the CEO is concerned, why will he make significant fixed investment? Why will he recruit a lot of people, especially when you've got electricity issues? Long term, it will be extremely difficult for this economy to grow at faster than 3% without us sorting out the electricity issues and some of these other competitive issues that we've highlighted earlier. So a lot of hard work needs to be done, and the sooner we get going, the better.
The sooner we get going, the better. That's according to Ettienne Le Roux. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. Ettienne is, of course, Chief Economist at RNB.